remember much from before the reckoning. President MrBeast has been dead for 9 years now. The Feastables factory finally fell, along with the Beast District of Columbia. Most of the United States is a wasteland other than Arizona, which legislated Armageddon away with gradual reform. There is nothing left. The White Castles are the last bastion of humanity, but even those have started to fall. In the power vacuum, the gig economy has exploded, and now Postmates employs 75% of women and children. But if the gig economy is king, then the attention economy is God. In this new era, content is everything. Anybody under 100,000 subscribers is thrown to the flesh pits. So I had to pivot. I changed my channel name to MrBeast, and well, here's my content lineup.
We took 50 designer dogs with malformed rib cages, and whichever one of them can climb that staircase first wins their owner, who is a Cascadian war veteran, a brand new bone saw. And this bone saw is top of the line, valued at 600 portions by all water dealers in the new Beastland Economy Centers. We just built the biggest vat of Agent Orange ever in this abandoned aircraft hangar in Secaucus, New Jersey. And whichever one of the fast food workers that we order from first delivers it to the center gets a free 8-ounce tip of water. In this video, we're spending 35 hours in forsaken Minneapolis. And if any of us get mauled by a gang of roving bone servals, we have to spend 15 seconds in the skinning nexus.
It's not easy getting by in this world, or what's left of it, but all I know is that whatever happens next, nothing was the same after Jimmy.
Baby, I hope that you find somebody to trust you. You know that I don't think that I'm above you. I just know that I can never love you. So baby, I could be the one to sort of trust you. Help you do your things and make you undo all the things that make you think you're through.
Welcome back to the Beast Archives, your #1 source on everything Jimmy Donaldson. We're going to get right into our delightful analysis of MrBeast and his content right after this word from our sponsor. Thank you to Native for sponsoring today's video. Listen, I don't play about Native, okay? I don't play like that, but you know who really doesn't play about Native? My mother. My mom lives in a different city, so when she came to visit me this summer, she dropped me off a care package, and she gave me this Native toothpaste. And she is obsessed with it. I'm serious, Native did not send me this. My mother dropped this off, and she sung the praises of this like crazy. She is the biggest Native proponent I know, and I trust my mother for the most part. So if that's any indication, get some Native. Listen, with a lot of deodorant on the shelf these days, you're getting aluminum. And when I look for deodorants, what I'm looking for is like tasteful scents, and also just like good design aesthetic. I want to see that the brand cares, and Native fulfills all of that. First of all, just using Native products makes me feel like a cleaner and better person. This lavender and rose body wash smells so stupid good. The deodorant texture is like really nice. It's not sticky, and also it's vegan and cruelty free and aluminum free. So I got 3 scents: cashmere and rain, sea salt and cedar, and I believe, yeah, sweet peach and nectar. And they vary a lot. The sweet peach and nectar is super aromatic and like sugary. These scents are a part of Native's limited edition cabin collection, so go out to your local Native website and use my code because they're limited edition. And the sea salt and cedar and cashmere and rain are like very subtle but nice. Like cashmere and rain is a scent that I never thought that I would really love, but it's super cool. They have a wide range of scents for you to choose from. Like I had to look through a whole list to choose these, and it's 72-hour stay-in protection, so these things are gonna last you a while. Native also offers a plastic-free version of the deodorant, which is like the exact same formula and everything, but it comes with sustainable packaging because they're fire. They're just that good. So the offer I have for you today is that 3 deodorants would usually be $39, but if you use my link and code that are on screen right now, you can get over 33% off of them, which is $26 for 3 deodorants, and you can also get 20% off any toothpaste or deodorant. So do that. This, I need to smell this. Hold on. Oh, it's so good. So use Native. And thank you to Native for sponsoring this video, and I'm going to go put on some cashmere and rain. That's so tasteful. Hey, before we really get into the video, can I ask you guys to like the video and go leave some random shit in the comments? Like, you can say what you want and subscribe if you want to. I've just never like earnestly asked for this, and I want to see if it makes a difference. So yeah, just please do that. Hi, welcome back to an obviously doctored Twitter screenshot. I'm a 35-year-old social democrat, and the response is saying, I can't tell if this is fake, but it would be so scary if it was real. If you subscribe right now, I will finally put water in my beta fish's tank instead of high C. Unfortunately, it cannot ungive him an ischemic stroke though, so you know, weigh your options. How are you all doing today? I'm feeling like a vulture atop a cactus in an establishing shot of a Western, or maybe a busker playing a trumpet the protagonist decides to donate to in a movie about the bustling city of New York. Videos. Content, the algorithm, 3 out of the 47 new deadly sins introduced to the world when the World Wide Web was created by Baphomet and Al Gore in 2004. The internet was originally the information superhighway, a place where gamers could go to find friends and cops could go to find Craigslist posts made by serial killers. But all of that changed when YouTube arrived on the scene. Now in reality, YouTube was created so that dudes could share the Janet Jackson nip slip easily, but I'd like to think that it was started as a social experiment to see how quickly prank channels would emulate the MKUltra experiment. Now I'm not sure how many of you remember YouTube back in the day, but I've been watching YouTube for 15 years now, and it is dizzying to think about the former ecosystem. I assume me looking at the 2007 YouTube homepage is what it feels like for a World War I veteran to see the 1914 trench scenes. It was a lawless wasteland. I'm pretty sure Tor browser based its model off of the iOS 4 YouTube app navigation system. You had to get yarn from Ariadne to find your way to the video you wanted without getting rickrolled by a video that said it would show you Misty from Pokemon's boobs. Nearly all of my developmental trauma from childhood was because of this fucking website. I found hentai on here when I was in 4th grade. Do you realize what that does to you psychologically? My 5th grade unit on squids was practically a fugue state. I know it's not great now, but I would take YouTube now over YouTube then any day, easily. YouTube was just live leak without the watermarks. Julian Assange might as well have been a board member. But at least back then it was slower. Most YouTubers tried to upload like maybe once a week, and since they were paid in like attention and a thimbleful of PCP, it was fine. But now it is so high octane. I'm pretty sure most of these YouTubers and Twitch streamers are just locked inside of an NVIDIA warehouse with a barrel of G Fuel, and they're only allowed out on a leash. I mean, so many of the massive first-generation YouTubers, Ray William Johnson, Smosh, Ryan Higa, Fred, the first YouTuber to reach 1 million subscribers, would absolutely flounder and die in today's content scape. And this is understandable. In the early days of YouTube, there were so many angles to the creation of content that are completely incomparable today. The job of influencer didn't really exist yet. People didn't know how much they should be getting paid for ad incorporations. Ad revenue wasn't steady. Algorithmic exploits were more common with these weird periods. There was a bit where reply girls were a massive trend. They would basically just trick people into watching their videos via proximity and add nothing, and their videos went absolutely nuts in the algorithm. So these early creators were doing a lot of things at once, right? They were trying to figure out exactly what the platform was, what worked and what emphatically did not, what their viewers would accept and what they wouldn't, what exactly a niche was, could content be reliably diversified, how should a collab work, should I do music, do we become an LLC, do we make a movie, what is my creative intent, and how does that mesh with my artistic output, and how does that all congeal with a business-minded approach that can keep this my job? These are so many big questions, and a lot of it was because YouTube was essentially a new instrument that people were trying to figure out. Have you ever heard like early experimental synth music? I'm sweating already. Wow. I got sweat in my eye. I'm in so much pain. This is Moog, the Electric Eclectics of Dick Hyman, a synthesizer record released in 1969, merely 5 years after Bob Moog invented the first voltage-controlled modular synthesizer. Don Buchla was also involved, but let's chill. Here is an excerpt from the vinyl cover. The Moog synthesizer is a musical instrument that is still so new that not even those who have developed it know what its full musical potential may be. Synthesizers have been used in recording studios before this, of course. They have often added freaked-out electronic sounds to whatever a musical group produces with its regular instruments. They have provided decoration, color, and feeling. But now, Dick Hyman has harnessed those provocative electronic synthesizer sounds. He uses the Moog synthesizer as a musical instrument, a total musical instrument, playing it 3 ways unaccompanied, right? So here's what it sounds like. It's kind of a fucking mess, but hey, he was trying stuff out. An excerpt from Dragos Rusu's 2014 3-star review of the over 50-year-old record. On these electric eclectics, you meet all kind of naive synth melodies, weird and twisted electronic experiments, not so easily digestive for an easy listener, an impressive cohort of sounds from out of space, all mixed up with an insane and precise care for the holy sound manipulation. It is indeed a quite different and funny listening experience. Hyman was trying to answer hundreds of questions here, but the foremost one was, what can I do with this thing? 53 years later, I'm sitting here with a synthesizer the size of a notebook that is probably more powerful than anything Hyman could have imagined in his wildest dreams at the time. The Roland JX08 is a brilliant little analog synthesizer, and here I am sitting with a camera that can outperform most film cameras used before the 1960s, the Sony a7 III, another brilliant little device. But you may have noticed that I'm not the most successful musician or the most popular YouTuber. See, a lot of us creatives, YouTubers, feel the need to perpetually upgrade our setups, our workflows, to be in a constant technological shot to the top until we look like professional videographers, or until we employ them. I've been a filmmaker for almost a decade now, and the technological rat race is bigger than ever in the scene. Netflix has a list of permitted cameras, sensors become more sophisticated every year, people are turning back to film at a price uptick because of its color processing and fidelity. But here on YouTube, the biggest individual creator alive doesn't do any of this. He doesn't shoot in 24 frames per second to get a cinematic look, he sticks with compressed digital footage and breakneck editing speed for retention. His style is the height of unrestrained, unreformed internet authenticity, and it's strangely beautiful. I talked about MrBeast on my channel about a year ago when he did his Squid Game video. Okay, is that funny? Squid Game. Okay, now put low-res footage of Squid Game with heavily artifacted sped-up music under it, and put text on top of it that says, "Is he next up out of Songlundong?" and then put a red circle on the screen with an arrow, and then have it cut to a photo of a cat looking at the screen really close with ambient music, and then a couple of other things. Okay, go. That's fucking hilarious. I talked about MrBeast on my channel a year ago when he made his Squid Game video, and prior to that video, I wasn't very familiar with his content. More so, I was familiar with his reputation. I did a lot of research for that video. In fact, to this day, I think it's still the most I've ever written for a YouTube video. Up until this one, actually, but I think I just barely scratched the surface of his content and what it does. MrBeast, or Jimmy Donaldson, is a YouTuber, entrepreneur, and influencer who has now amassed over 100 million subscribers on YouTube and millions upon millions of followers on other platforms. His cumulative view count on his main channel is over 17.6 billion, and combined with his side channels, his YouTube view count is over 26.3 billion views altogether. He's got dozens of individual videos over 100 million views, and he is essentially heralded as the de facto god of content. And to be frank, I understand that, as thousands of unofficial churches of Beast pop up in the dense Brazilian favelas, building him a small army that specializes in guerrilla warfare. Over the past week, I have started religiously watching MrBeast videos, every single one I can get my hands on. It felt like every time I sat down at a computer or took out my phone, I needed to watch another video of his. And this is really interesting because my last video on MrBeast was kind of critical, and up until this week, I did not really enjoy watching his videos. In fact, the only thing that made me gravitate to his videos was my friend Fraxium, who claimed that my video made them become a MrBeast soldier. They would also send me photos whenever they ate with my video saying they ate with Ro Ramden, so if you watch my videos while you eat, tag me in your ate with Ro Ramden posts. And if you don't eat with my videos, start doing that, asshole. I need a live feed of my videos to every nearly defunct Buffalo Wild Wings establishment in the Pacific Northwest. So I kept thinking about what was driving me to click on these videos again and again, because in my head, these are the types of corny concepts that I would never click on. But I was drawn to them in this case, and in this case only. So I started taking mental notes about what I liked about them. It wasn't really MrBeast's personality. He's amicable and casual, but his content kind of is his personality. He is defined by the absurd or indulgent things he does. It wasn't necessarily the concepts. They're all really bare and skeletal, kind of just the ideal viral video concepts, so not super interesting. And I went point by point through these videos trying to figure out why I kept watching them until I realized that what I was enjoying had to be artistic. Now, this is a hot take, because if there's anything MrBeast does not have, it's artistic intent. If anything, it feels like he is void of it. His videos exist only for content, and barely carry any emotional weight save for the reactions of other people to receiving lots of money. In a video of him giving his mother $100,000, he tells her that she needs to take it so he can have a viral video. Like it's not a fully selfless act, he seems pretty nonchalant about it. It's all handheld cameras, there's a bunch of silly, inane jokes, but there is, nonetheless, an art to it, that being the one of nostalgia and subconscious performative relatability. In an interview with Marques Brownlee, or MKBHD, MrBeast says he likes to shoot on older, crappier cameras and doesn't like shooting at 24 frames per second because it is an industry standard. Rather, he prefers shooting at the more amateur 30 frames per second. He even thinks that people who shoot their videos at 24 frames per second are like dying channels. I shoot at 24 frames per second, so I took it personal and This is my last video. And this philosophy extends to all of his work. And to illustrate this, I want to return to his Squid Game video and approach it not from an ethical standpoint, but an artistic standpoint. So this Squid Game video that he made cost over $3.5 million, and it was made in 3 weeks. That is more than the actual budget of the television show Squid Game. Yet, it is riddled with technical errors that should not exist for a project of this size. And honestly, I would use air quotes with errors because these are not actually faults, they are results of Jimmy's dedication to the aesthetic of amateur mediocrity. When you watch MrBeast's Squid Game, you are witnessing a sort of auteur at work. An auteur is a filmmaker whose individual style and creative control basically dominates all other contributions to the film, and thusly the film ends up being a direct reflection of the way he works. There are shots in this video that are fully out of focus. The entire video is shaky handheld camera. He could have afforded actual Steadicam or GlideCam operators and ARRI Alexas, but he purposefully did not get them. There's a mobile game ad directly in the middle of this video. 2022 version of Let's All Go to the Lobby, Raid Shadow Legends. There are segments that required massive visual effects, compositing, and keying. And in those scenes, there are VFX shots that are fully out of focus. They got the shot, it was out of focus, and they still decided to use it for the final video as a VFX shot because the artistic stylization of MrBeast is one that distracts you from the gross indulgence of the rest of the project. Videos that look like this have never had this kind of budget or scope before, and things with this kind of budget and scope are rarely so self-referential. This is because MrBeast is a bona fide expert in the YouTube algorithm and how it functions, and more importantly, how to retain the attention of viewers. When he looks at what makes a YouTube video a classic, worthwhile watch, he doesn't observe cinematic camera work or in-focus shots or professional audio as the calling card. He observes a naturalistic, intimate video, and he realizes that if you want to scale that up, you need to scale the subject matter, not the cinematic language, because if you do both, you lose a gleam of the magic. Because of this, his videos have an almost nostalgic, childlike feel, as they bound through concepts and massive swaths of money like a vlogger would bound through an LA brunch spot. Welcome to Rowaside's MrBeast edition. I figured I should take some notes, because MrBeast videos are a lot about the process of creating the video and just sort of like enjoying the video, not just the video itself. And that's kind of one of the interesting things about the medium of YouTube. People talk a lot about the content approach, the algorithmic approach, etc., that MrBeast brings to YouTube, but not a lot about the artistic approach. And I think that's fair because, you know, you can look at his content and you can think just sort of holistically, there's nothing there. Basically taking like a reality TV show premise and then breaking down the walls and showing you the in-betweens, because they understand that on a YouTube scale, you can't always do a big reality TV show thing, and people on YouTube just want to see interesting things and keep a narrative going. They document getting snacks for the participants, like all of these superfluous things that usually wouldn't be a part of a reality show in any sense. And I don't know if it's amazing content. I mean, it's stimulating, but it is interesting, right? Making it feel like a YouTube video that you're tagging along with your friends for. A lot to think about. Hopefully MrBeast can teach me all of it. I think my skin looks good here. Who agrees? 1 like equals 1 respect for my skin. Trans women have gone through a lot since Buffalo Bill, so let's just try to get it together. Let's make trans women's skin good again. If you go to his TikTok, he even downscales for the app, shooting content that costs a shit ton of money on just an iPhone. This is a bit controversial, and I don't think completely true, but I think MrBeast is kind of like heightened cinema verite. Cinema verite is a type of really like naturalistic documentary filmmaking. This diagnosis only really works if you accept the vlog as cinema verite, though, because what MrBeast has done is take the vlog and turn it into a behind the scenes for a larger piece of content that does not exist and never will. There will never be a video showcasing the Squid Game, right? It's just MrBeast's Squid Game, the process of it occurring. But MrBeast does it for real, and these are his everyday naturalistic scenarios at this point. They've just evolved over time from saying Logan Paul 100,000 times to spending millions of dollars with little regard for his financial stability. But that's the crux, really. These videos are incredibly lucrative, but MrBeast's strategy for a long time has been to burn all of his money on videos, which in turn will generate revenue for new videos. This is in some ways a practice with inevitably diminishing returns. MrBeast can't really push the boundary endlessly and always come up with the money he needs to do it again and even bigger, which is why he has diversified his portfolio. He literally owns a restaurant chain for passive income. A MrBeast video is an escape to a bourgeois paradise and muddied waters, an altruistic stage play meant to let you and all of your friends imagine imagine a world that you are the ultra wealthy, standing atop hundreds of workers with NDAs who practically churn your videos out for you. All you have to do is show up and throw money at them. The MrBeast channel is the result of a personal lifelong dream on behalf of Jimmy Donaldson, sure, but it is no longer a personal channel. It is the coalescence of camera people, video editors, coordinators, all of whom you would be hard-pressed to find any sort of credits along with a video. It is the result of over a decade of intensive algorithmic research into pure concentrated virality. It is the wildest fantasy of hundreds of corporations who were tiring endlessly to understand exactly how to become internet juggernauts. But what every video on the MrBeast channel truly is just another ad for the channel of MrBeast. There are constant reminders to subscribe, offers for cash prizes if you do so. He tells you to take your parents' phone, your sister's phone, your friend's phone and subscribe so that they have a chance at winning money. His face is plastered on everything. Every video, a patch of snow being carpeted onto the MrBeast snowball, barreling down the hill in front of every MrBeast video is just an ad for the next MrBeast video. There is nothing to learn, nothing to better yourself through. The MrBeast strategy is raw, unmitigated spending on highly specialized marketing. Marketing that appeals to children. He is a capitalist success story, the Andrew Carnegie of the YouTube era, and it was in this epiphany that I realized that this is the core of what makes MrBeast so fascinating to me. His videos are unintentional bourgeois satire, inadvertent dystopian surrealism. I'm currently on a bus headed to a park. It is called Magnuson Park, and I haven't been there in a long time, mostly because it's kind of far from where I live. It is in Northeast Seattle, and I live, whoa, I'm not gonna say that. No, I haven't shot the rest of this video yet, but it seems to be, that seems to be what people like, I think, this procedural generation of the video in front of them. It's like a naturalistic flair, and I can't blame them. It's nice to see people just dealing with life as it comes at them. It's kind of the most relatable thing possible. Now listen, some people might say that art requires intent, or that some intent may void artistic merit. I'd venture to disagree, and to counter that, I might suggest that art has no existing guidelines but to be true, and to be true is to be real, to exist. I've always favored a very conciliatory practice to life, that being that it throws what it has at me and I show my hand willingly, and because of this, I really am inclined to say that there's nothing certain I could say about art, nothing objective or pure that I could distill, other than it is everything. I despise the idea that something is not art, because art need not conform to somebody's ideology in order to be just that, you know, art. Since the dawn of man, reactionaries have decried advancement as progressive dribble, as lewd bastardizations of art as an nonsensical fluff. You know, I'd hope that my anger with these people can act as a fulcrum point at which I can position myself in direct opposition. In fact, I think that art exists whether we like it to or not. I think the clear sky is art when we're inside. I think the crashing waves are art when we are landlocked. I think the tree falling in the forest is art when no one is around to hear it. Because art means nothing to me if it isn't everything. And everything means nothing if it can't be art too. I think when the universe ends and Armageddon strikes, and the last moment of the last second of the last breath that life exhales on Earth, that scene will be art. And hopefully it'll burn itself onto the expanse of the empty reality like an image plastered to a television screen. Dystopian surrealism. What do I mean by that? Surrealism as an art movement was born out of this idea to allow your subconscious to sort of turn the world around us into an illusory realm, and to allow the irrational to run amok amongst the rational. You might say surrealism is just weirdo bozo bullshit and MrBeast is like structured or whatever. Shh, be quiet. Be oh so quiet like a church mouse. Or a woman in the house of God. That's me. I'm a woman and you're in my house of God. The great surrealist artists, Magritte, Dali, Kahlo, Ernst, didn't just paint weird nonsense. There was a movement and juxtaposition at play in their work. So much of the off-putting and realigning power in their work comes down to portraying the natural and the unnatural in direct competition with one another. A delicate, somewhat amorphous landscape with clocks melting off of the branches of familiar trees. A man in formal garb in front of an overcast outlook. A single floating apple obscuring his face. A helpless slain deer laying in the forest with the head of a woman. A mundane and impressive abode, covered in a million Christmas lights. This is surreal. This isn't reality. It is something far more distant. It's a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm so sweaty. I'm so sweaty. I'm so sweaty. You can't complain. It's performance art in the least self-aware sense, in the same way that a white woman screaming at a minimum wage Cracker Barrel employee doesn't realize she could be in a TikTok acting compilation. Every single quote-unquote Karen video you see, you could just replace Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood with her, and she would eat that roll up. She is Toni Collette in Hereditary. But in this context, the surreal is not achieved through imagination, it is achieved through resources and bootstraps. Infinite money is thrown at reality to warp it in front of us. And in a world of infinite expansion, exploitation is a superpower. Wealth is all you need to bend existence into something unrecognizable, which is what throws it into dystopia for me. The truth that this is in fact a sobering reminder of the world we live in. We live in a society, unfortunately. LMFAO, keep party rocking. MrBeast content is the type of video you could expect to be tracked on a billboard in a short film that's jacking Blade Runner. It is satire in itself. Like, what the fuck else is there to do? Spending $100,000 on golden ice cream? That is begging to be juxtaposed with a bustling tent city in like a Blender render that's supposed to be about poverty. He's like White Mirror, both because he's the opposite of Black Mirror and he's from the Midwest. MrBeast is kind of like the epitome of whiteness. He could be the CEO of Supercuts and you wouldn't blink. If Black Mirror sought to answer fucked up questions like, what if your Apple Watch could report you to the UN for watching Overwatch porn? MrBeast seeks to answer questions like, if I bought like 40 Nissan Jukes, filled them with circus clowns, and pushed them into oncoming traffic, how many views would that get? I think it's a more important question. How much water can you fill a bird with till it dies? Gone ethical. If you watch the MrBeast MKBHD interview, it's hilarious because he tries to spitball a few video ideas and it's all mid. Like, here, just let me freestyle a few. Rent out of medieval times, get 100 death row inmates, last one surviving gets let free. That idea could feasibly happen before criminal justice reform. Get a dozen philosophy majors in a lecture hall. Whichever shuts the fuck up first wins $1 million. Liberating the proletariat challenge, asterisk, all they had to lose was their chains, asterisk, gone revolutionary, asterisk, gone Leninist, asterisk. I flipped a coin 100,000 times to avoid having a difficult conversation about intimacy with my live-in girlfriend. Reading Love, Simon out loud 100 times to prove literacy can be flamboyant. We spent a day with the military to expose the horror of international imperialism. Human-sized rat maze with diabetics undergoing hypoglycemia, see if they can smell their way to insulin. Will judges beat their bailiffs to death with their gavel for $100,000? 50 diplomats, whichever one gets killed in an embassy first gets to posthumously leak that they knew aliens were real. 100 coma patients, whichever wakes up first wins an Xbox Scorpio. Tell Neil deGrasse Tyson that you need him for a new season of Cosmos, but when he gets there, break his phone so he can't use Twitter anymore. Please. Put one of those robot dogs in a house of mirrors and see how fucking smart it is then, huh? Go to a soup kitchen and donate 1,000 ladles. Play the world's most expensive game of Mancala. I don't know how, just do it. Genuinely just kill someone and get away with it. No bullshit. Murder and dodge the charges. Call it the OJ challenge. Extra points if you get a recalled Ford Bronco to run from the police. I did 20 marathons to raise awareness for walking. The reparations challenge. Making the world's largest origami crane, asterisk, gone sexual, asterisk, we fucked the crane. How many bullets before you die? Teaching Coco the gorilla semiotics. Just do American Idol again, but make the judges IBM Watson from Jeopardy. And instead of singing, have them do the Turing test. It's like Ex Machina. You ever read a crime headline that sounds like a MrBeast video, like, man shoots 100 rounds and escapes the police in a high-speed chase? Whoa, Jimmy really got away with it this time. I bet Chandler still didn't win anything. My point is, MrBeast should put me on payroll for Beast Philanthropy. But yeah, it's like unintentionally satirical capitalist art. Dystopian surrealism. So let's go video by video and just break down what makes each one so strangely gripping and what weird powers are at play in each. Here's something pretty interesting that I noticed about, MrBeast, I guess. Right now I'm right where I did all my makeup for that stupid fucking like opening sketch with the apocalypse world and everything. And I'm just kind of thinking about how a lot of people in my comment section and a lot of people who reached out to me personally say that watching my videos makes them want to make videos. And I kind of think about that because it gets me wondering, like, is it just because I make good videos or is it because I make interesting videos? Is it because I make videos that make people feel something? But I think I might have cracked it. And I think I owe that cracking to MrBeast a little. And the reason for that is that a lot of people in his comments, a lot of kids, sure, but like a lot of people say, like, I want to do what MrBeast does when I grow up, you know? And I think it's because maybe the thing I have in common with MrBeast is that both of us pull the curtain back a lot. Like, MrBeast has a video about giving his mom $100,000, and he doesn't just give her $100,000. He goes to the bank, he introduces the idea, he goes to the bank, he says, like, can I have $100,000? And they don't give it to him in cash, so he has to take $10,000 in cash, and then he just writes a check for $100,000. There's like this nitty-gritty sort of to his videos. You see his thought process, his behind the scenes, and he makes it an entertainment. And I think maybe that's a really smart thing he's doing, because I think that people really like feeling inspired to do something of their own when they watch content, videos, movies, whatever. And I think what MrBeast taps into with sort of pulling back the curtain and showing exactly what's happening through every step he kind of taps into this part of us that wants to be a YouTuber or wants to make content on the same scale of the same type of thing, wants to make these big, life-changing actions. And I hope that when you watch my videos, you get the idea that, hey, if I take this time, I can go make a video that's like this. Because it's in you no matter what. And I don't know, if you get MrBeast money, you don't necessarily have to do MrBeast things with it. I don't think I'll ever have MrBeast money in my entire life, but I guess what I'm saying is that there is an accessibility to his art that is really compelling, that you can allow yourself to connect with it, and you can allow yourself to aspire with it. Row aside over. Screw it, I'm just gonna pull like a bunch of videos and explain to you why I think that they're dystopian surrealism, and what they feel like inadvertent satire of. Okay, this biggest bowl of cereal video. So much expired cereal and powdered milk put to waste. It could be commentary on overproduction and surplus being abused by bourgeois for aesthetics while others starve. Or it could be a silly video with cereal in it, which that's what it is, but wouldn't it be really cool if that was the actual one? This is what I imagine Slavoj Žižek doing in his free time. Just like Hegelian analysis of MrBeast. In this video, he gets 4 people to get 4 other people to compete for them. He never even gets into this tub of cereal, which is perfect satire on how CEOs and those who own the means of production force less fortunate workers to do the dirty work while they stay clean. But it's really just a silly little video where they get money for being in a cereal cesspool with piss. It's so disgusting, don't watch this one. I ate $100,000 gold ice cream doesn't even need explanation, but it shows such an awareness of its opulence and frivolity that it seems like it shouldn't exist. Just spend the money some other way, dog. When I make my videos, I try to think, would a Midwestern farmer be mad at me for doing this? And the answer is yes, but that's because I'm gay. I also think, would this video make a Tibetan monk pass out? And I think every single one of my videos passes that test. In this video, MrBeast also gives more money to a chef who he basically like pulled out of a financial disaster in another video, which is very nice. It's also content and an ad for MrBeast, but it's very nice nonetheless. I destroyed my friend's house and bought him a new one could be a biting critique of the super rich's tendency to treat everything, even unrenewable resources, like it's disposable. What better way to illustrate this than to destroy someone's home just for the purpose of getting them a new one? But actually, it's just a silly little goofy little video. You didn't mean for it to be interpreted that way. It's actually just completely normal and totally regular, and this is exactly what kids should be watching. I love it. $10,000 for every day you survive in prison. This one could be commentary on how the wealthy do not understand the plight of subaltern classes, whether they be criminals, marginalized people, or those impacted by the American government. I got hunted by the military. See, this one could be commentary on how the wealthy do not understand the plight of subaltern classes, whether they be criminals, marginalized people, or those impacted by the American government. I got hunted by the FBI. This one is actually interesting because it could be commentary on how the wealthy do not understand the plight of subaltern classes, whether they be criminals, marginalized people, or those impacted by the American government. I survived 50 hours in a maximum security prison. This one could be commentary on how the wealthy do not understand the plight of subaltern classes, whether they be criminals, marginalized people, or those impacted by the American government. I spent 50 hours in solitary confinement. This one could be commentary on how the wealthy do not understand the plight of subaltern classes, whether they be criminalized, marginalized people, or those impacted by the American government. I ran a marathon in the world's largest shoes. This is commentary on how MrBeast feet hurt. Okay. Ah, fuck. My legs. There's another row aside. Just kind of walking around this park here, and I'm thinking about how MrBeast video quality kind of co-opts the aesthetics of, you know, amateur and low budget stuff. And so in essence, it's kind of adopting the, oh, it says this building contains hazardous material. Is there a MrBeast burger in this thing? Just kidding, of course. The wealthier he gets, the more he has to commit to like this grandiose concept and this style of low income, this style of somebody who doesn't have the money to work with. And that's what kind of makes him relatable and interesting, is because that's an uncompromising part of his, you know, he's never going to be the YouTuber to start shooting on cinema cameras. And so, you know, his style remains very, you know, people want to emulate it. And there's this Pinely video about like how a ton of creators are turning into MrBeast. It's a good video. You should go watch it. You know, it makes a lot of sense because his videos look like they could be made by you. And I don't know, I don't think they're very substantive. I think that charity and mutual aid are good and all, and those are good aspects of his videos, but I think maybe there's a degree of exploitative stuff to his content. What is this? Am I in like, is this environmental set dressing for The Last of Us? What is this? When you think about it, like $100 for a homeless person on camera is better than no money off camera. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a series of advertisements that he produces. So, this row side is over. I don't want to poke myself with any more thorns. And there were two geriatric septuagenarian motherfuckers walking by, and I don't want them to think that I'm weird for making YouTube videos. Giving 10,000 gifts to kids for Christmas could be commentary on the accolades and glamour given to celebrities who participate in public altruistic endeavors, all culminating in a big number their publicists can use to better their image. He also gave presents to kids, which is very nice of him. It's very nice of you, MrBeast. You probably made their Christmas. I've never made a kid's Christmas. Sorry that I'm infertile. Sorry that I've been trying. I built Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Could be a galaxy-brained satire. How you is factory and Willy Wonka. You get it. Nearly every MrBeast video can be reframed and presented as like this grandiose farce that actually aims to criticize what it portrays. But the truth is, they just are what they portray. Yes, every one of these videos could be playing on the television at the beginning of Children of Men, but they just are what they are. Nothing more and nothing less, devoid of reason and voice and causality. They function with no rules they can be tracked by us, because what holds you back in a capitalist society when you have money to throw at it? The answer is nothing. MrBeast spending $1 million on 40 cars for a viral video is akin to a wealthy child being bailed out of county jail by their wealthy parents. It doesn't matter to them because the money is disposable. They have enough money to perpetually gain the system of life. They might as well do it at this point. And a system that uses monetary gain to block progress isn't one that rewards hard work. It's one that rewards exploitation of the algorithm, of workers, of production of chemicals in a viewer's brain. See, MrBeast was rewarded for his hard work over and over again, and he still works non-stop. But he doesn't edit his videos, he doesn't do set design, he doesn't film his videos, he doesn't do visual effects. He's the face. It's all he needs to be. He's a logo, but he keeps on working like he's got so much left to prove. If you think about it, I'm like if Karl Marx was on T-blockers and had friends who did ketamine. Hey, Karl, opium is the opium of the masses now. Check the epidemic, pal. You've clearly never been to a 100 Gex concert in Seattle, Washington. But MrBeast keeps on working countless hours, fasting on camera, burning the candle at both ends because he loves YouTube, which is to say that he loves content, or he loves creating it, or he loves the chemical release that comes along with virality. I can't really say. All I know is that some people can't just let themselves win capitalism. They have to expand endlessly and work till they die. And on a broader scale, that's what the world is doing to itself. Hey, welcome back to the Beast Burger interlude. As you may or may not know, MrBeast has a virtual delivery restaurant chain like any good cartoon character would. The Beast Burger interlude is brought to you by Raytheon and Boeing, but only the parts of Boeing that make the missiles. I don't think any parts make missiles. That didn't make any sense. It just occurs to me that I haven't done a roast session in a while, so I might as well do one for MrBeast, considering I just gave him $30 for a hamburger and fries. What can you say about this guy? I mean, unused Jimmy Neutron extra, physical incarnation of a can of silly string, kid that needed to take remedial wealth hoarding. He's every high schooler who said that they were going to learn FL Studio and get a Trippy Red placement. Not as bad as it could be. I have a complicated relationship with fast food because I love it, but it is like a biohazard. What are some of my fast food opinions, right? I think Dunkin' Donuts could kill a mule. That coffee is like xenomorph blood. They need to put yellow caution tape around every Dunkin' Donuts in America. Taco Bell is like inviting a settler colonial imperial core into the autonomous zone of your stomach. I'm convinced that when it's in you, it doesn't stop moving till it's out like a shark. What was I on when I wrote this? Panera, I've never been, but I do have thoughts because what the fuck is a bread bowl? Gentrified stew. Bakers just couldn't let the fucking stew makers have it for themselves, huh? Disgusting. Panera is the Williams-Sonoma of IBS. I cannot stop eating Wendy's, but it is awful. Wendy's is like pouring hot grease down the sink of your body. I think it carbonates your blood. McDonald's isn't even food, it's just silicone and skin. Every digestive experience I've had after McDonald's has been akin to Chernobyl. McDonald's must be lobbying the entire US Senate like crazy because that shit is not edible. Maybe I just have digestive problems, but that's for me to figure out. That's probably the case. Anyways, let's get some more raw thoughts on the MrBeast meal. I got chewing gum on my audio recorder. I don't know how. Here's a beast fry, maybe. I don't know. That's ass. That is ass. That's not good. That's, yeah. These are seasoned? If these are seasoned, I'm flabbergasted. I think this is just like corrugated cardboard and construction paper. This is terrible. Burger's fine. This is very, very, very mid, if not outright bad. Coca-Cola killed union workers in South America. Look it up. It's fucked up. All right, back to the video. Listen, things aren't very good right now in the world, but I don't think I have to tell you guys that, you know? I honestly don't even think I have to explain it. Have you guys turned on MSNBC in the last 5 years? Either an IBM is headed for Dallas or Nancy Pelosi summoned a Korean water ghost on the Senate floor. It's never good. I feel like you'd understand this better if you had the Nextdoor app in Seattle. My feed is just some divorced father being like, check out the teak vanity I made for my daughter's room. I really miss my wife. And then a random post that has 600 likes that just says, has city council finally made it legal to strangle poor people? It's crazy. NIMBYs are not humans. So things are awful, yes, but what does that have to do with MrBeast, and why am I criticizing him when I could just be making things better? I'm gonna be real. A world with this content in it is kind of fucked. It is, and mostly because I'm opposed to the capitalist mode of production, sure, but I also just think overconsumption is gross. But also, all of this is just mostly because I think Jimmy needs to groom his facial hair better. Just kidding, Jim, you look like 456,000 Squid Game bucks. Squid Game, Squid Game, Squid Game, Squid Game, fine boom, Squid Game. To me, through my lens, through the 2020 vision of acclaimed supermodel and domestic terrorist Ro Ramdin, you can't both engage in bourgeois opulence, overconsume, take private jets, use millions of dollars of resources, and operate a beach cleanup or a tree replanting process and have them come out evenly. It's just not how the world works, because these things aren't on the same scale. They don't balance each other out. If you destroy unrenewable resources, if you wreak havoc on the earth through using more resources than you need, that damage is incredibly hard to undo, and it won't be undone, because in the end, you can't unwarm the earth today by planting a tree tomorrow. It just doesn't work. And going forward with the beast model of creation, it just gets bigger, uses more resources, blah, blah, blee, blue, blah, who gives a fuck? MrBeast is a microcosm of capitalist expansion, of corporations, of greed, of philanthropy, and altruism. That doesn't make him evil, though. That makes him a product of capitalism. And it just makes him another dude. Just a regular guy. Because if you look at me, if you look at yourself and the people around you and take stock, I've driven cars, I'm not vegan, I use a phone that probably was made using child labor. I purchase technology that could not possibly be ethically made for that price. I go to restaurants and stores that underpay workers unknowingly, and these aren't, equatable to being a CEO or petit bourgeois or exploiting workers, but they are complicity. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism because consumption, as we know it, is a capitalist construct. There's no growing your own food, there's no building your own house or chopping your own trees. You simply pay other people to do these things for you. And that's the idea lifestyle. That's our idea of consumption. And in the end, personal change is also required for societal change. You ever see someone post a chart where it's like, look at how these corporations pollute the most, they release the most carbon, and then they complain about gas prices going up? It's silly. We have this bizarre idea that idly watching capitalist expansion absolves us from change. If things are going to change in the world, things are going to change for us dramatically. If you believe in solving climate change under capitalism, which I'm not going to comment on whether or not that's possible, you just do your thing, best friend, forever, then you will have to pay more money for everything. Every single thing in your life, because profit is about cutting corners and growth is about cutting off weak branches. Do I think that the choice to use shitty cameras and shaky motion and random unknown editors is an artistic decision? Yeah. But it also keeps costs low.
How many hours do you work in a day?
I would say since I was 11 years old, almost every waking hour of the day. Since I was 11 years old, almost every waking hour of the day. Every waking hour of the day.
So let's say the world ends, right? Let's say the universe ends. What is there to learn from MrBeast? After entropy swallows reality and I am nothing, what can I learn from MrBeast? It's a dumb question, but then again, it's kind of the question I've been asking myself this whole video. Everything on a cosmic scale is pointless. That scale isn't really relevant for personal worth, though. Around a year ago, I made a video where I asked if I thought my past self would be proud of my present self. In my mind, it was a meaningful, quiet, pensive question. Now, I don't really care about the answer. And in fact, I don't really care about the question either. On an interpersonal level, asking if someone finds themselves to be proud of you is quite the onus to lay upon someone, But further than that, the past me in that video doesn't exist. It never really existed. She existed on a continuum of change, of ebb and flow and being, through the gradual substitution of one molecule for another that physical being shares very little with me, and shares nothing with the world anymore. She can't. In a sense, turning the ship of Theseus into myself is helpful, so then I become the universe whose entropy eventually swallows itself and is born anew. To be myself is to be a child, is to be that innocence and that hope. To want pride from that child is to tightly grip the branches of a sapling, to not let it grow. To be as I am now, to hope that that is enough, is to extend my arms across a grassy field, to hope that passers-by can read in my shade, and to believe that is enough. But let's say, yes, that the world ends. Silly to ask what we learned from MrBeast, but only in the same way it would be silly to ask what you'd learned from me. At the very least, I'd hope you'd learn to accept what you cannot change, and work endlessly to improve what you can. Most of the learning we do in life is not aware of itself, nor are we aware of it. There are centuries-old conflicts between dozens of disciplines about how language develops, how socialization functions, how the world works, and how we learn. If I could turn anything over to you, hopefully it would be a set of subconscious attributes or beliefs that would better your life, not a bumper sticker philosophy or a performative due diligence. I'd never think of myself as a teacher, really, but I don't think the word is very useful outside of specific contexts anywho. Whatever you consider it is I fulfill that role for you. What I'm saying is I hope that the things you take from me are the ones you barely realize you have taken. I hope that you walk away from the words of myself and others pondering, but also having shifted somewhat internally in a way you can't describe. Because if the world was ending, if a meteor was on a crash course heading to Earth, I wouldn't think about fucking MrBeast. I wouldn't be regretting how I could have filmed myself giving a homeless person $10,000 so I could recoup that money via ad revenue and then repeat the process perpetually. I would be regretting that I didn't foster relationships with the unhoused people in my neighborhood. When I moved into my last apartment over a year ago, there was a man who slept under a telephone pole in front of the building night after night. I rarely saw him conscious. Really, the only time I remember hearing him speak was when he got into a verbal altercation with someone who was walking by. At the time, I was going to community college, and I didn't really know what I was going to do with myself or with my life, but deep down I felt awful. See, I live in Seattle, and Seattle has a devastating issue with unhoused people. Specifically, Seattle won't house them. Because of this, I've fallen victim to the easy way out, which is ignoring homeless people I see when I'm out. I'm absolutely not proud of it, but at the same time, I'm not going to eschew blame for this by saying politicians don't do enough, right? Saying my government doesn't do enough, because in honesty, it is me. It's the community that I do not know how to foster. When I started making videos, I promised myself that if I ever made good money, I would give some of it to that man who slept under the telephone pole, or food, or anything. And I never did, because he just stopped showing up after a while. I had a chance to act on it, and I just didn't. And now I don't know where he is. And I'm sure there are thousands of people in my audience who would have done or have done the exact same thing, because we're societally brutalized into apathy, but that doesn't make it okay. But it does remind me that giving a homeless person $10,000 for a video isn't building community. It isn't fostering mutual aid, and it isn't making a structural change to the world that will prevent these things from happening. It's a publicity stunt. But so is a video like this, the one you're watching. I don't think I have much to learn from MrBeast, maybe because I just already am him. Trade spending for arbitrary vulnerability, and you've got a pretty even 1-to-1. So let's say the world is ending. The air is molten hot, and the water is evaporating from the seas. If that were the case, I don't know if I'd think about the big things in my life, but to be fully truthful, the world is ending. Slowly, step by step, like a program to end an addiction. Corporations dump carbon into the atmosphere, the climate is being inexorably ravaged. 6,569,189 people have died of a virus because we had to prioritize profit motives. And that pandemic, by the way, isn't over. But in the videos of MrBeast, people don't go hungry, they get fed. People don't go broke, they get rich. Beaches don't get swallowed by the sea, they get cleaned. Homeless people don't vanish from outside of your building, they get houses. Failure isn't critical, it's just all part of the process. There are people dying all over the world right now because of things that I am complicit in, but not in those videos. The frame cultivated by those videos is deliberate. There's no suffering in the world of those videos, only healing. The world isn't ending, it's just spinning on its axis. It's 2079 now, and my home is being swallowed by the Pacific. The sky is still blue, and the sea reflects it. I'm being swept away into the sea and shredded against the craggy rock faces. I know soon that my lifeless body will bloat with gas and be carried by the currents in with the debris of the 76 gas station down the block. It will hit the shore a jumbled mess of flesh and bone. The local fauna would devour me if there were any left on the sand. My corpse will inevitably meet its final resting place atop. And I know that there may be nobody left to bury me when it gets there. But now I am watching the tide come in, and I don't know what I'll think about that moment before the final wave tosses my head against a mossy rock. I don't know if I'd think about the job that I worked that I wanted when I was a kid. I don't know if I'd think about dropping out of college, or my first kiss. I don't know if I'd think about my partner, or my mom, or my sister, or my stepdad. I don't know if I'd think about my friends, or my art, or my impact. I don't know if I'd think about the people I helped, or the people I failed. I don't know if I'd think about what's right in front of me. I wouldn't like to think about what it's like when I die. I've never liked thinking about that. Maybe I'd think about that park by the lake that I used to visit when I was a kid, and how nice the water looked when it was swallowed by the smoke from the forest fires, hundreds of miles away. Hi, thank you for watching this video, and thank you to Native for sponsoring. Once more, 3 deodorants for like a third off of the usual price. Link in the description. Go support Native. I really do like the stuff they make. But I need to talk to you guys about something. My rent is $1,800 a month. That is a chunk of change, and it is stupid. I know this. I could probably live in a smaller place, but here I am with a lease that I signed because I'm a dumbass, dumb, goofy motherfucker. I should be wearing those goddamn shoes and that hat and those stupid little teeth that Goofy the dog wears. I'm not good with money, and I haven't been good with money in the past, so I'm struggling a bit right now. It is temporary, and soon enough, ad read money is going to come in, and I'll be absolutely 100% fine. But being in this situation made me remember that rent is very expensive, and YouTuber bank account reveal is that I have like $200 total between checkings and savings. That Beast burger cost like 1/8 of my total net worth. What the fuck is wrong with me? I get paid like $4,000 for brand integrations. I need to get it together. But regardless, I have a offer and a pact to make. My Patreon is at $900 a month right now. I post music from videos, sneak peeks, photos, Q&As, etc. If that Patreon hits $1,800 by the end of the year, I will make a 1-hour video on a relevant subject that the patrons submit and vote for. The rest of the perks for the Patreon tiers are basically defunct. You know, nobody was submitting jokes for the higher tiers. Ad-free videos is silly. You can just use an ad blocker. I approve. But that's my deal, okay? I'll have a bunch of patrons send in ideas, pick 10 really good ones, y'all vote. Hey, maybe even the ideas I throw away will become a video too. And yeah, I'll shout out the patron who suggested the video in the video, but this part is really, really important. Do not support my Patreon if you don't have the money. That really would break my heart. I do not need it that bad. I just think that if my rent was met by default every month, that would be very nice, and it would put me at ease a lot. And if you watch my videos with or without an ad blocker, you are already doing enough for me without donating me personally, okay? More than enough. More than I probably deserve. Thank you all so much. Let's hope I learn how to do finances better when I turn 21, which is on October 24th, by the way, in like 4 days. What do y'all want to do for that? I'm going to kiss my girlfriend on the nose and smoke a cigarette. No, I'm not. I would never, ever kiss my girlfriend on the nose. Don't do that. Really bad for your health. Okay. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And remember that you are loved, not necessarily by me, but by somebody out there. And there's only so much time we have on this earth. So make good use of it and really just try to enjoy life. As always, it has been a pleasure, and until next time, bye.